Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you're watching my recap of Season 1, Episode 6 of She's Gotta Have It. Your boy Mars is on the live stream. He's telling his followers about his Jordan collection. He has a particular pair that are very special. His obsession with Michael Jordan stems from a great memory with his dad. His dad took him to a game where it was the Bulls versus the Knicks. The Bulls won. He and his father waited for a couple hours outside of MSG to meet Michael Jordan. So this is a really great memory that Mars has with his dad, who died when he was a kid. So he's showing off his shoes and he's explaining why he loves Jordan, which when you put it in context like that, it seems way less superficial than just, oh, I really like these shoes. This explains, it doesn't justify, but this explains earlier how Mars praised to Michael Jordan for Nola. In a previous recap, I was like, oh my God, Mars is so great. Like, he praised for Nola. And everybody in the comments was like, yo, D, rewind, boo, because he wasn't praying to Jesus. He was praying to Jordan. That doesn't count. But it makes it, he's got this memory of Jordan. Oh, no, okay. Moving along. Nola's outside her brownstone all dressed up. I'm not really sure what exactly she's wearing, but this is an interpretation of what an artist would wear in Brooklyn, I suppose. But she has all her paintings and she's waiting for Mars to arrive. And he pulls up with his bike and a little cart on the back. And Nola was like, yo, where's your car? And he was like, I don't have a car. I don't have a license. Why would I have a car? Some New York-ish. Nola's like, I've got to get these art pieces to the gallery. Mars was like, well, I have to go to work. She's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Mars genuinely likes her. And even though it has the potential to mess with his job, he was like, okay, I'm going to do you a solid. I'm going to take the art there. You get in a cab. I'll meet you there. I don't understand why if Nola was getting in a cab, she couldn't have just put the art in the cab. Nola tells Mars, don't go upstairs when you get there. Mars jokes. He was like, oh, I'm coming. I'm coming inside. And I'm going to have my Jimmy hat on. Two things. One, who the hell calls a condom a Jimmy hat in the year of our Lord 2017? Also, I'm surprised the show made it this far without mentioning condoms. Insecure got put through the ringer because of all the sex in the show and no one was shown using condoms. But She's Gotta Have It is a series that at its core is about a woman who has multiple sexual partners. And we're on episode 6 and we're just now getting around to discussing condoms, but it's here nonetheless. Mars is wearing condoms when he has sex with Nola, and the assumption is that Nola is having safe sex with her other partners as well. Nola's in a cab on the way to the show, and a commercial for ass comes on. That's the show that's like a thread throughout the series. It's about women getting ass injections. And then the cab driver is like harassing her. He's like, pretty lips, pretty lips. There's not a woman in New York who's not been harassed by a cab driver. Nola's on the phone trying to have a conversation with Shemeka. The cab driver is all in her conversation doing dialogue about like, oh, were you a contestant on ass? Pretty lips, pretty lips. But Nola calls Shemeka and she's like, hey, my show is tonight. Like, are you going to be there? Shemeka's like, no, my show is tonight. Like, I'm dancing tonight. I guess that means you're not going to be there. Shemeka is, so you can't see her ass. She has a coat on that covers it, but you can tell it's not quite shaped right. Her legs look really small and her ass looks really big, but she's at Lady Mae's again trying to get a top up before her big show tonight. Nola's like, I'm sorry I'm going to miss your show, but I really just want you to be happy. And Shemeka, old frenemy acting self, was like, I am happy and I didn't have to have sex with 3 men to get that way. But you went and got your ass done. Ma'am, your vantage point of morality is very low. Let that go. Mars does not take Nola's advice. He goes right into the gallery with the art. Kalinda's there. I can't believe they used to date. She and Mars get into a discussion about who dumped who. Corinda tells him that he shouldn't come to the show tonight. And Mars is like, wait, what? There's a show tonight? Nola, you didn't do that. You didn't have that man come to your house and peddle, literally put his physical energy forth to peddle your art across town and didn't invite him to the show. If you didn't want to invite him to the show, so be it. But you can't ask him to help you get the art to the show and then not invite him. And Mars feels away. When Nola shows up, he was like, WTF, I'm out here risking it all for you and you couldn't even invite me? Mars is all riled up, mispronouncing words. We heard earlier this episode that he has dyslexia. All this time, he's had like this weird speech pattern, but he's never mispronounced words. Or maybe it just comes out when Mars is really upset. But he's pissed right now, and rightfully so. You dead wrong for that, sis. And of course, he asked Nola about her other men. Actually, Nola didn't invite any of them. She did invite Opal, though. Nola goes to therapy before her art show. She's really nervous about the show. It's a big deal. She talks about how she wants Oprah and Jay-Z to have her art on their walls. She talks about the high stakes of the show. This has the potential to be a big payoff for her, and so it means a whole lot to her. At the show, it's really well attended. Nola is introduced alongside some really great artists. Corinda's intro for Nola is really interesting. For the other artists, she was like, oh, here's this, famous artist. He's a sculptor. One of them is Fab Five Freddy and another one is Mark Baptiste. I Googled to see who the other lady artist was, the one that made the statue with the hot combs. In the show, she's called Zora Neale Hurston. I couldn't find what her real name was. I feel like she's probably an important artist and I just don't know her name or her work. I didn't recognize her. So if someone does, please let me know in the comments. And then Clorinda's like, oh, and my friend Nola. It's a big deal for her to be in the show, but you ain't got to tell people that she's there for the hookup. We've seen more or less Nola being really self-assured, but we see how green she is when it comes to her art. Corinda tells her at one point, like, you don't have to stand in front of your art all the time. Like, it's not a lemonade stand, which I thought was a little snarky. She didn't really have to say it like that, but she didn't know. She doesn't know how to conduct yourself at an art show because this is her first big art show. She meets an interesting cast of characters. There's this white guy and his black wife and their 6-year-old daughter who's being carried like a baby, and her mother mentions that she still breastfeeds her. The white guy is just like, he's just weird. He's got like mutton chops. And he keeps talking about like it's nation time. Like, sir, what does that mean? He sells images of nude black women on t-shirts on eBay. The wife keeps asking Nola about her art with the hot combs, even after Nola specifically says like, oh, I did not do the hot comb art. These portraits that I am standing in front of, this is my work. Surely there's some commentary that Spike is making here. Is it about like interracial couples? Is it white men in the art world? Is it the way white people respond to black art? Like, is that what the commentary is? When Nola's done with that couple, she takes a little trot around the gallery. And who do we run to but the original Nola darling? It's Tracy Camilla Johns. I want you to know that I met her at an event that I hosted in Baltimore a couple weeks ago. Beautiful woman, such a sweet spirit. Absolutely amazing. I was honored to meet her, and I had about the same reaction that Nola has. Like, I kept hugging her, and then I had a 5-minute conversation with her while we were both standing there holding hands. I was just thrilled to meet her, as thrilled as Nola looks to meet her in the gallery. I thought that was a really cute cameo to bring her in. Opal and Skylar are there. Skylar is really excited to see Nola. One by one, Nola's men arrive. She didn't invite none of them, but all of them showed up. Mars is the first to get there. He goes to the bathroom, and he's in there doing what he does. And the weird white guy, Dean, walks in and takes the stall next to him. I'm obviously not a man. I know the basic etiquette of the urinal, which is the same etiquette of the movie seat. Unless it's a crowded situation, you skip one. You leave an open urinal and then you go to the next urinal. You don't be all up next to another man at the urinal. And you certainly don't peek over. Mars asked Dean if he's at the show to see Nola. And Dean was like, oh, I'm married, but, I'll always take some nappy dugout. What year is it? I haven't heard that phrase since, like, the 90s? Dean tells Mars that he's also an artist. He describes himself as the next Basquiat. Oh, really? He says he knows black people, but he also knows white pain because his grandfather was killed at a concentration camp when he fell out of the guard tower. Dean somehow takes a liking to Mars, who he seems not to realize that Mars is disgusted by him, especially when he reaches out to like shake his hand without washing his. I don't know if it's male etiquette or not. Maybe y'all just don't wash your hands when you come out, but that's nasty. You put your hands on your penis, you wash your hands, and then you go out and join the public. You don't just walk around with penis hands. It's just as bad as Jamie with his pussy breath. But Dean really likes Mars, so he gives him a tag. Mars thinks of his dyslexia as a superpower. So he looks at the tag. He immediately recognizes that Dean's tag looks very similar to the tag of the person on it who's been defacing Nola's street campaigns. This is all very Scooby-Doo. Like, the mystery is solved. Like, Dean is the person who's defacing your art. Out at the art show, Nola's still wandering around. She stumbles into an art critic who is very important. And Nola seems to know who he is, but she's so distracted by all her men being at the party that she can't focus. Jamie is the first to come over. He heard about the art show, and he's just sure that his invitation must have got lost in the mail. He's shown up with flowers like he's the number one dude, and he also paid for Nola's dress. If you like the dress that he bought well enough to put it on and wear to your big night, then you have to invite him. It's not right when guys do it, and it's not right when Nola does it. I'm not going to make an exception because she's a woman. She's really upset that Jamie is there. She accepts his flowers and not so graciously gives them away. I know Jamie's married, but the last time you saw him, y'all didn't have a big fight. Y'all didn't have an argument. Like, you're mad he showed up to support you at your art show. Mars comes over all excited because he's figured out that Dean is the culprit behind the person defacing Nola's art. And he was like, that's him right there. See, I figured it out. My spidey senses, my dyslexia. At first, Nola's like, I don't care. This is my big night. Like, I'm at an art show. This is beneath me. And then she gets upset and she starts marching over to him. And Mars is the one who has to stop her and be like, hey, okay, maybe you had a point. Not now. Let's do this at another time because this is your big night. Greer is there, but Greer doesn't say anything. So while Nola's been at this art gallery, Shemeka has been preparing for her first performance as a dancer instead of a cocktail waitress. She's nervous about her big night. Shemeka takes the stage. Shemeka got on this like Diana Ross glitter moment. Like it's many things. The reveal of her ass, ma'am, your ass don't look right. Like, it's big, but it looks like diaper dumpy. Like, you're not even fooling half of the people half of the time. You got to get the thighs, mama. You got to get the thighs. There's a man in the audience with claws for hands, which I'm sure is a metaphor for something that I just have totally missed. He's a big spender. But Shemeka is dancing all around, shaking that thing, not really all that well. And then she goes into the audience. She's shaking it around for the guy with the claws for hands. And she tries to go back up the stage. And she loses her balance and falls back on her big fat ass. What the fuck? Ass juice goes everywhere. And she just starts screaming like, don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. Ma'am, no one wanted to. I knew the storyline was going somewhere crazy because that's just Spike Lee and what Spike Lee likes to do. I actually thought the man with the claws, one of his claws was going to accidentally pop her in the ass and deflate it. I did not expect that she would fall on it and, as Remy Ma put it, her ass would pop. I ain't see that coming. That was horrifying. But Nola is at her art show and she gets a call and she rushes out, and it's not clear at the time where she's going, but she was headed to the hospital to check on Shemeka. Shemeka is laying in a hospital bed, seemingly unconscious, full of tubes. She has an infection from whatever was pumped into her body to make her ass bigger. And her mother is so confused because she's like, you know, Shemeka was a hostess at Applebee's. Like, how did she get caught up in this? Well, ma'am, I knew where Shemeka actually worked. And it's not as bizarre to me. The plumping of the ass, the popping of the ass, that caught everybody by surprise. Into the episode, Shemeka is shown in the hospital bed, tubes everywhere, seems to be breathing with assistance. It's very like that time Kima got shot on the wire, because you can hear like the beeping of the machines and the machine helping her breathe. It's very hard hitting. Like, this is the consequence of butt injection. Spike ain't never been known for his subtlety. So that is my recap of episode 6. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Let me know what you thought of Shemeka's ass popping. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Please subscribe. And I'll catch you for the next recap coming soon. Thanks for watching.